First of all, we'd like to dedicate what we're doing tonight to the memory of our neighbor, the boy down the block, Ariel Sharvit. Of blessed memory, may the Lord avenge his death. I don't think he was killed in battle, actually, but whatever it was, he was killed to war-related disaster. So it's still considered like the enemy did it. We're very sad for his passing, and we hope that we see no further casualties in this war, and we just destroy our enemies. Amen. That's the only way to victory, by the way. The way to win war is by destroying your enemies, not by providing them food and sustenance and electricity and water, anything else they require, and weapons. Right? Yeah. I was surprised. I saw a video of them supposedly destroying the tunnels underneath Al Shifa Terrorist Center, which they call a hospital for some reason. And there's so many buildings still left standing there. Makes no sense. So, okay, God willing, they should. Takes
a lot of explosives.
Takes a lot of explosives. Yeah, I guess.
How would you? I had to carry them.
Oh yeah, probably explosives are probably very heavy. This reminds me of something. Imagine there was a disease going around, like a plague, so people had to be quarantined. And assuming, let's say, like the experience we had in the last years, but it was actually a real thing where quarantines would work. I remember when everybody was still naive, and it was still reasonable to think that if a disease was transmissible, highly transmissible, that had contact just by breathing, so of course people should be quarantined and separated from each other, distancing. That's something humans discovered very early on with regards to the disease. Keep the people with the disease away from everybody. What does it say a Mitzorah has? What does the Kohen do to the Mitzorah? He has Hesger. Well, first he has Hesger, and then if he's really bad, out of the Machane. Okay, that's you could say, rationally speaking, the Rambam points this out. People with disease, so you keep them separated. And then they were saying, though, here's the funny thing: they were saying the quiet part out loud, that certain groups of people, certain well-known sinners, who were promiscuous and all that, they can't be trusted to keep the rules. They're just not going to keep the rules, so we can't impose the rules on them. Instead, we're just going to impose the rules on the good people who tend to keep rules, right? They always say this a lot of times. They only assume the people who are going to keep the rules are the good people. Certain groups are just not going to keep the rules, right? Mm-hmm. That's how it goes. And in war also, there's these so-called rules of war, but you know that certain parties are just not going to be keeping the rules, and some parties are going to kill themselves to keep the rules. That's just how it goes. My point is that officially there are too many bodies here that are too keen on keeping the rules. That's what they want to do. They just want to show, right? We're keeping all the rules. We're being super good. That's a Jewish tendency. Remember, we have Jewish characteristics by Shanim Rachmanim Golmei Chasadim that can be used against us. The example of King Achav has been rehashed a few times already. Further, we're also Am Ksheorif. We have a midah of stubbornness, and we talked about how initially that was harmful to us, but eventually it's good. It gives us an immune system to foreign ideas, right? Being stubborn is good for the Jewish people, especially in the Gullus. Not perfect, because when it comes time for redemption, we might be too stubborn. Okay, when we need to be redeemed, the stubbornness can be used against us, or we're using it against ourselves. But when it comes time for Gullus, it's good to be stubborn to keep the Torah. Okay, so we have this tendency. The Torah was given to us. Chazal have a mashal of a medicine. Why keeping kosher? And why don't Goyim have to keep kosher? We're told don't eat this, don't eat that. It's bad for you. Don't eat this. You're in a shama, right? So the mashal is that there was two patients that the doctor had to see. One patient had a very rigorous diet and a very rigorous prescription. Just eat this, just eat that, make sure to eat some of this. Doctor gave everything. The other patient, the doctor just said, okay, eat whatever you want, just don't eat anything rotten. And that was it. So the guy asked, hi, Mai, why so different prescriptions for these patients? Said that first patient who got all the details, don't do this, don't do that, lots of don'ts, and a few recommendations and a few requirements, it's because he has a real chance to live. And if he sticks to this, he could greatly benefit. The other guy, he's a goner. No chance. Might as well just enjoy it, because there's nothing I could give him, and there's nothing that will harm him. He's got a few days left, and that's it. Okay? So too with kashrus. The Jewish people were given kashrus because we could greatly benefit from it. So God told us to avoid many things, right? There's a whole list. Don't do this. And even combinations of things that are inherently permissible, right? Kilayim, basar b'chalav, etc. And God even required us to eat of certain things at certain times, right? What's the only required eating all year round, by the way? Korban Pesach. Wonder what that means. If we extend this mashal, usually the mashal is brought with kashrus, what not to eat. but God also told us what to eat. Once a year, what do you have to eat? Unleavened bread, sorry, bitter herbs, and matzah. What did you say, pizza? Nope. They did not recommend that. Unfortunately, they didn't. But that's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Eating cheesecake and hamantashen in the right season is a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, like honey cake, right? But seriously, Chazal did add a d'Rabbanan. What else do you have to eat with Korban Pesach? There's other things you have to eat besides matzah, maror, and Korban Pesach. They added karpas and charoses, right? And 4 cups of wine. So the sages did require certain achilas. And you understand it's because we have a better shot. So too, God gave us the Torah and rules. Why? Because we're the type of people who stick to the rules. Sometimes too good. We're goody goodies when it comes to rules. So right now we see, with regards to prosecuting this current war, we're being too goody goodies. That people have imposed on us these rules, and the higher ups, they have these rules about tohar neshek and war ethics and other such nonsense, right? And now they stick to it like an am kashay oref because they just want to keep the rules. So because these midos are being used against us, by the way. But if we could turn our midos to actually keeping the Torah the right way, and we would do that, that'd be great. But right now, we're harming ourselves, for better or for worse. So, yeah, the rules. If you see that there's a group of people to whom about whom they say, well, they're not going to follow the rules and all that, just to know that's not a good thing. It doesn't reflect well on them. It reflects well on the Jewish people, on Am Yisrael, that God gave them a lot of rules because He knows that by nature they're the type of people who want to stick to the rules. They're good boys, right? Yeah. What's a good thing to be growing up? Yeah, be a good boy. Okay.